Welcome back to Copperhead Customs. What are we on today? Well, you need to stick around if you want to find out. So today, we're not working on this. That's right, we're having a break from the 38 Chev. You're having a break from the 38 Chev? Why? Well, what are we going to work on then? What are we working on, I hear you say? Yeah, what are we going to work on? Well, we're going to work on this. This is our 1928 Oakland Roadster pickup. This was GM's flagship model above Cadillacs, but they stopped them in the late 1920s and they just ran Pontiacs instead. So this model here, it started out as a 4-door tourer with the curvy back, but we've turned it into a 2-door Roadster pickup. So when we got it, it had the cow and the 2 doors, and that was about it. We have fabbed up all this back section. The tub was meant for our 32 Ford, which we turned into our 38 Chev. Does any of that make any sense? So we've done a crocodile leather interior.
Female salties or cows only get to half that size.
We've got all the gauges in, all the floor, the cockpit is pretty much all completed. And this one, we're painting with a roller for some rustic. Over there is the chassis sitting on the rotisserie. That's right, over here on this rotisserie, behind all this mess, is our 1928 Oakland original chassis that we're in the process of boxing in. So through this center section here, we've used a 4mm thick plate that we have bent into a C-section and welded on the inside to box it in. This one we have completed. This is fully boxed front to back. We've also installed this X-frame type arrangement. This mechanism here is our brake lever. We've got our engine mount cradle here for our 302 Cleveland V8 that's going in it. Up the front here we've got a Jag IRS front end that's fully installed now. In the back we'll be having a Jag rear end as well. Alright, so as you can see up here, this was the C-section that I was talking about. This is our engine mount cradle that we've got in here. As I said, this is 4mm C-section welded into this original C-section of the chassis. We've then got a 10mm plate welded on to that. Another, probably an 8mm plate welded to that 10mm plate that is threaded, and then our little cradle we've made here bolts onto that to hold our motor in. So our engine mounts slide over here. So very, very strong. Now down here you can see a similar arrangement. We have a 10mm plate welded on, and then our little brake mechanism that we have made here is bolted onto that. So now this was all done a fair while ago, and it's just been sitting here waiting for me to summon up the energy and the brain capacity to want to do it. Now if we look at this is a bracket for our brake master cylinder and booster, and that bolts in here, and on our floor of our cockpit we actually have a trapdoor to access the master cylinder. Now on this cross member that we put in, our center section is obviously for our tail shaft. Now with the Jag independent rear, they have a fixed center, so the tail shaft has no movement in it at all, and these outer circles were basically going to be for our exhaust pipe. The next cross brace is an original part of the chassis. Moving back to the front, you will do what I say when I say back to the front. If you can look at the top rail, you can see this is all boxed in, all finished. All of this is welded out. We still today have to box in this section from here to here on the front of this rail. Now coming to the back, you can see this is all boxed in. Now the reason this piece is in a separate piece is because this is actually angled. This plate is angled because this is where our twin shock for our Jag rear end goes. So that has actually been cut. If we look on the bottom one, you may be able to see that a bit better instead of it coming across straight like that. So it would normally be out at this thickness. That's the bottom chassis rail has been cut down and that's been plated in. So in the back section here, we still have this piece here to do. And as you can see, this cross member, we boxed in these triangles front and back. So down on the bottom, we've still got these 2 pieces to do. So we are very close to finishing welding out this chassis. So now I did majority of that off camera because I did not want to bore you with 10, 12 hours of me cutting, grinding pieces and welding. But what I will quickly do is we'll show you how we went about it. Right, so as I stated, we did this back rail in 3 sections, and we have here 3 cardboard templates that I quickly made. Now, as you can see, that was one for the center. I think that is our one for there. And this one here is our one for the back section. Okay, now a lot of people get very carried away and very pedantic making these cardboard templates. Personally, I am not that fussy. So my method is I will sit the cardboard on top of where I want. Now this is a C-section, so it is very easy. I will then grab a hammer and hit it on the edge. Bang, 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 which will mark my cardboard. As you can see here, we've just sort of marked that one by folding it. I will then just cut that out and get an approximate template made. As long as it fits inside, I'm happy. Some people get pedantic with their cardboard template. They use sanders and all this sort of paraphernalia and make them absolutely perfect. Personally, I just need a rough guide, okay? If I'm a bit skinny here, I just take that into consideration when I mark it onto the metal. And the other thing is, I'll just fill the gap with a welder. Now, we don't have silly gaps. We are always very close. We are within tolerances when we make our template, but a lot of people just get way too carried away making their template, okay? There's not really any need for it, I don't think. So, we've got all our templates done. I've got one little bit more to cut on the metal. This one, we'll tack this one in. I'll put it on time-lapse. We'll tack us in here, and we'll weld this one out on camera, so you see how I'll do it. Then I'll just do the front one by myself. So as you just seen, pretty simple stuff here. We finished cutting our piece, sat it in, and a couple of tacks, get it in position, and weld it out, yeah? So basically we put some tacks in, pull it up, pull it down, hit it up, hit it down, whatever to get it. So we've got our edge nice, then go for it. Where we've got a slightly bigger gap, I put a few little shark teeth, they call them, a few little teeth, tacks across, just so then I can come through with a nice bead over the top and not have issues with it blowing a hole, because as I'm opening up for a hole, we hit the next tack and we can close it easily. So there's a little trick for you.
It's tricky. It's tricky.
It is good to have a little bit of a gap when doing this stuff so you can get decent penetration in, because we do not want to just be putting basically a cap over the top. We actually want penetration in on this. So having a gap is good. You need to have at least 1 mil gap if you're welding warm enough, that is. But you know, like up here, we're probably running into a 3 mil gap or so, and that's fine. Like, that's just practice with your welding, eh? Hey, the better you get at welding, you can deal with variations in your gaps. Hence why I don't get too carried away with my templates, because I can just adjust my welding technique and style to the gap, okay? So that there is now fully welded, as we just seen. It's a decent weld. There's nothing really wrong with that at all. And it looks nice. So why grind it all off? You know what I mean? The weld is nice. It's nice and neat. It's pretty uniform. It's very close. So that's fully welded now. The back's fully done. We've got the 2 triangles to box in, and the front section, I'll get in and buzz that as quick as I can. our motor dropped in, chassis painted. We'll get more touch-ups. It's had its first coat basically. We will have to do a bit more welding and stuff here and there, some more brackets, so there'll be little bits that get ground off and welded on and repainted. But chassis 90% painted. Our new motor, well, 302 Cleveland C4 transmission is in. We've just got to put our trans cross member in. I just got to weld that out. So that's where we are at the moment. We'll put our brakes in tomorrow, and then we'll probably just move it forward a bit. Then we will get our angle of the back of our trans. We'll get that angle, which will tell us our angle for our diff pinion. So then what we will do is we will bring the Jag IRS rear in, sit that in, set the angle, get some final measurements, but it is all marked where it needs to go, but we will just get some final little perfection measurements. We'll do a center to center, like a wheelbase measurement. We'll do some measurements onto the chassis, and we'll probably do some diagonals and whatever to make sure that it's in the correct position. So I'll see you in the morning.
The next day.
Alrighty, motor in, brakes are in, just got to do them up, the brake booster and master cylinder. Trans mount is in and bolted. Now if we come over here to the rear end, we've got that all welded into place. We actually put some plates on the top as well to reinforce it, so it's all welded in and boxed in, top and bottom, and then we've put some extra gusset type plates on the top as well. Pinion angle is set identical to what the motor transmission angle is, so that's perfect. We had to change it a bit from where I originally had it to get the pinion angle. It meant the shockers were going to foul, so we had to actually lengthen the wheelbase an inch, but it is in there very square. We've squared it to our both cross members. We've taken it to the front. We've squared it to the front end. Squared it to the engine mount. We've done multiple measurements, and it is within 1 mil from side to side. So it's very good. There is movement, I'm pretty sure, in the wheelbase. Okay, these are our torsion arms, I think you call them. Now we're going to put adjustable ones in here off of a race car with Jaime joints that we can adjust. So we can probably get a little bit of front to back movement in there for changing the wheelbase a little bit or what have you. All right, back on the diff. In the morning we will do some more scraping all the gunk off, and we will degrease it and clean it all. We'll probably shoot a little bit of paint around there. Also, these are our chassis rail covers that were folded up. So we had one of these original that we used as a template and had these folded up. They're a pretty nice piece being done. So we've just painted the insides of them, and tomorrow we'll give the outside a clean and we will paint these. These will get done with the roller on the outside. And as you can see, they're all bead rolled in. They're actually quite a nice bit of gear, these are. So we'll paint these with the roller, and they can go on. Okay, and then over here we've got our cab, tub, whatever you want to call it. What we'll do is we'll get some straps under this, and we'll set the block and tackle up there. We will winch this up in the air. We'll push the chassis in, and we'll drop this on, and this can get re-bolted in. But prior to that, we just have to make a little mark on the floor and cut out a little slot where the brake pedal will be going. So that's the plan, and we will see you in the morning. Well, yesterday was one of those days you'd rather forget, where everything on this stinking car went wrong. None of our bolts lined up. Our distance from here to here was too narrow and I couldn't get the bolts in. I couldn't find the bolts and I went and bought new ones and I bought the wrong ones. So I popped the threads. So anyway, after lots of swearing and manipulating, we porta-powered this a little bit and gained about 5 mil, and then we oblonged the holes a little bit. I think when I've done the floor, it's actually pulled in a little bit. My own stupid fault for not bracing it correctly. So we went and got the die grinder and we oblonged the holes a little bit. I've actually thrown the correct tap back down through all the bolt threads. We now have to go buy another set of bolts. I have found 3, but we'll go buy some more. The other thing I have seen is my brake pedal is hitting and is only getting to basically vertical. It's still about 2 or 3 inches off the firewall. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut it and bend it back so that the shaft is like, so basically the brake pedal will be something like that, and then the pedal will be off of here. So it will work like that arrangement. So we're going to put a little V in this brake pedal. We'll quickly do that, then we'll lower the body back down and fingers crossed we get it to work this time. So I've got my angle finder here. I've actually drawn a line on the pedal. So we'll stick our angle finder on quickly. We will get our angle that we want, something like that, and we will then cut and V this until we get that approximate angle. We just did 2 tank mounts. So we just used a bit of angle round at the corners, drilled 2 holes in, which you've seen. We welded the nuts to the bottom of the bracket, to the top of the bracket, to the underside anyway. And then we're going to use these bolts with a spring washer and flat washer. The tank comes in from underneath, bolts in, easy peasies.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
So tank is mounted. So we're just letting it cool down a bit. I'll bolt it in. Now we'll move on to the tray. How good? How good? How good does it look? Okay, so where are we at? Tub is all bolted down perfectly. Down at the back, the fuel tank is mounted, bolted in, finished product. The tray we've just sat on. So in the morning, we will look at making some mounts for the tray. So we have to just get that a bit higher in the back so that the angle is the same as that. Front guards are just sitting there. They are not bolted on as yet, so they are not in the correct position. They've just been thrown on just to give you guys a little teaser of what it may look like. And the guard is the same. This still needs it's got some splits and stuff, and I think we're going to get rid of this original inner and we're going to make our own inner, because our other guard we don't have the inner, so we're going to make 2 of our own inners, and then we'll work out some mounts to mount this onto the tray. Then I've come up with the idea for our running boards. You'll have to wait for another episode for them, but in this episode we're still going. We want to get the guards mounted properly and painted underneath. We're going to get this tray mounted properly and the wood all laid out, and we're going to bolt in our big bug-eyed headlights, and we'll probably bolt our little tyre holder here, which if you're new you wouldn't have seen any of this stuff, so stick around because there's still more to come. And hey, little mate, he wanted to say hello. Look. tray, all the brackets are made. We did a bracket going across at the front with runners down onto the chassis and the same on the back. Down in here we have some little flat bars welded onto it with holes, and we will drill in to the side of the tub and bolt it in that way. But I've got some little fancy things I'm going to do down on the outside of the tub where that mounts. So that will be next episode. We've set the guards on for you to look at. We've got the front guards semi-bolted on, but the front is way too low.
All my friends know the low rider. The low rider.
We could put smaller tyres on, but then we're getting too close to the ground and won't be legal. The springs that are in the front end are just chopped springs. We do have a set of stock height Jag springs, so we will look at installing them, which will raise the front probably 1.5 to 2 inches, which will give us heaps of clearance through here. We've set the headlights and the grille on for a visual, and you must admit it looks pretty damn good. How good? How good? So to recap what we did, we fully boxed in and welded out the chassis. We then painted it and then mounted the Jaguar IRS rear end in. We got the cab mounted with a bit of fighting. We installed the engine, we bolted on the guards, we mounted the fuel tank, and then we mounted the tray. So all in all, we did heaps, but there's still heaps more to do. So I think next we'll look at raising up the front, bolting the tub on and making our special little brackets. We'll work on these guards and get them mounted, painted and all of that jazz. And if we've got time, we'll make our new running boards. And then it will pretty much look like a driving hot rod, but it won't drive. Yeah, that's right. Once we've done most of that, the car, most of the fab work will be done on the car. But at this stage, that's all we're doing in this episode. I think we have achieved a lot, and you would have to agree that it is a pretty good looking little beast. This car is nearly, well, it is 95 years old. Hey, it's pretty good. So anyway, with all that being said, I'd like to thank you for watching. Stick around. I think the next episode will be on this as well, and we will see you then.